Tariffs, tariffs, tariffs. You've probably already been hearing a lot about tariffs recently.
Tariffs.
So the tariff situation.
Tariffs.
We've talked a lot on this channel about things just going up in price. Groceries are going up in price, electronics are going up in price, that Amazon order going up in price, the deals, they're just not hitting like they used to anymore. And usually in the past, we've talked about inflation a lot. Well, I'm here to tell you that it may not only be because of inflation. It could be just your everyday regular bag of shrimp that you're using in your tacos. Or more specifically, the tariff on that bag of shrimp. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of products that we regular everyday Americans use are getting tariffed. That's right, President Trump is back with a brand new tariff plan.
People were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy, you know? They were getting a little bit yippy, a little bit.
On April 2nd, 2025, his self-proclaimed Liberation Day, President Trump announced a basically 10% tariff on every single country in the world, as well as higher tariffs for other countries. And of course, some of the other major players have higher tariffs. And I already know what you're thinking. How does that impact me at all? China's paying the tariff. They're bringing products into the US. They're going to be taxed. China is paying the tariff. Wrong. Absolutely wrong. That is not correct. You've probably already heard that the importer pays the tax, right? So the company in the US that is buying the product has to pay the tax, and then they're probably going to pass that tax on to you, the consumer. And yes, that is true, but you should also be thinking about how this impacts the global economy. Welcome to the channel. I'm an ex-investment banker, and today we're going to be breaking down how a tiny tax on a bag of shrimp could rattle the entire global economy. Yeah, I know, it sounds ridiculous. But when you actually zoom out, it's about a lot more than just that bag of shrimp. It's about trade wars. It's about increased inflation. It's about why everything from your groceries to the gadgets that you buy are going to go up in price. And let's talk about what exactly happened. Let's back up for a second to April 2nd, 2025. President Trump and his administration essentially said that the US was being treated unfairly in the global economy.
And there'll be fair deals. I just want fair. There will be fair deals for everybody, but they weren't fair to the United States. They were sucking us dry.
And to put that into perspective, the US is a global net importer. That means we spend a lot of money on global goods that are made outside the country. And it's because it's convenient, right? We have built this society where countries all over the world have manufacturing and can make products and goods for super, super cheap. And Americans would rather just buy those cheap products than invest in the infrastructure it takes to make those products here at home. But of course, what the president is saying is because we have been relying on these countries for so long, we now have lost this upper edge and we're being treated unfairly in the global scale. And so that's what Liberation Day was supposed to be about.
My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day.
And Trump calling it Liberation Day.
Liberation Day.
Liberation Day.
It was supposed to be about leveling the playing field, and whatever taxes and tariffs that other countries had on us, we were going to have a reciprocal tariff that balanced that playing field. Essentially, that started with a 10% tax across the board for everyone, and then some countries got it worse. India started with a 26% tariff, the EU 20%, and the big one, China, started with a 54% tariff. But of course, countries, especially big ones like China, aren't just going to take that and not retaliate. So what did they do? They increased their tariffs on US goods, and then we increased our tariffs back on them. And consistently, as these tariffs continue to get announced and announced, the stock market has been crashing. The general markets don't like the idea of tariffs, and they think that it's going to be a drain on the American economy. Fast forward to today, the day that I'm filming this, April 9th. The president announced today that all of those tariffs that he announced just a week ago are going on a 90-day pause. And he said it was because a lot of countries came to the negotiating table and said they would be willing to lower their tariffs on US goods and wanted to come up with some sort of deal. China stuck to their word. They're going to keep this heightened level of tariff battle going on. And so what did we do today? The president announced a 125% tariff on just China. Now, to put this into numerical perspective, last year alone, the US imported almost $450 billion worth of Chinese goods. That's like 15% of all imported goods into the country. And if you can imagine, a 125% tax on those goods now essentially makes that $450 billion worth of goods that we bought about $1 trillion. Well, why does that affect you? Because think about it. If we want to make a t-shirt in the US, the infrastructure isn't there right now. Basically, all of our clothes are made in China or Vietnam or somewhere abroad. And so if we can't make that product here yet, and we have to still buy from someone like China, but there's this 125% tax on it, well, are we just gonna not buy new clothes? That's one option.
That is stupid.
But more likely what is gonna happen is US companies, importers, are going to keep buying these goods at heightened prices. And so maybe that $25 t-shirt that you bought last year is actually gonna cost you $60 to buy now. And that's exactly the chain reaction. When the prices of these imports go up, everything from that bag of shrimp that we talked about, clothes, your electronics, everything is gonna go up in price. Even think about things that are quote unquote American made, like a Tesla, for example. Well, yeah, it is true that a Tesla is assembled in America, but take the battery that they have, the lithium that it takes to make that lithium ion battery, it's not mined in America. The one caveat here is that American importers aren't stupid, meaning they know that consumers aren't just gonna pay 125% more for some product. So there might be an opportunity here for them to negotiate with the exporter and try to find some sort of balance where maybe they split the tax between the two. I'm not exactly sure how that's gonna work, but that might work on an individual level. Oh, and here's the kicker that we haven't even talked about yet. In the United States, approximately 70% of the GDP is made up by consumer spending. So what does that mean? If consumer spending slows down, that means GDP growth slows down. That means economic growth slows down, and that's how you enter into a recession. And let's not forget, as we keep seeing, this trade uncertainty makes the stock market super jittery. That affects investments, your 401k, maybe your parents' retirement, everything. And we haven't even started to talk about the job market yet. Here's the thing, as much as we want to manufacture all these goods here in the US, the infrastructure is just not there yet. The manufacturing jobs are not there yet. So in a recession, like we saw in 2008, people are going to lose jobs, and the manufacturing jobs that we're hoping to be there to catch them aren't there yet. It is 2025. The US is a services-based economy. That's what we're good at. That's what we do. And to be honest with you, I don't know that many people that are rushing in line to work at a factory. And trust me, I know, I used to work as an engineer at a factory and it was very difficult to hire people. So why even do this at all? What's the overall strategy here? Well, what Trump's trying to do is boost domestic manufacturing by taxing imports and making local products more competitive. And that is a good thing. But here's the problem. A lot of these industries were outsourced for a specific reason, whether it's labor costs, infrastructure, scale, and on top of that, like we talked about at the beginning of this video, Americans love cheap imports. It's what keeps inflation down because spending stays lower, and it keeps our shelves just stocked. I think it is a huge gamble. I think manufacturing countries and developing countries in general have essentially a huge choice to make right now. Are they on Team USA or are they on Team China? Because as of right now, it seems like neither of us are going to back down. If these tariffs work the way that I think they're intended to, and they bring a lot of these smaller countries to the negotiating table and give us better terms, maybe it works, and that would be great. But the flip side is if we lose this gamble and those other countries end up going with China because costs are cheaper, labor is cheaper, maybe they're just easier to work with, then we're at a place where we could potentially lose everything. So I don't really know how to really feel about this. And the experts like Jamie Dimon at JP Morgan are already saying that we're heading towards a recession because of some of these new policies. Trump's tariffs aren't about China. They're not about India. They're about your wallet. That's why you should care. But what do I know? I'm just a guy on the internet speaking my thoughts. What do you guys think? Is this a smart economic move or just unnecessary drama? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you found this helpful, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. And with that, I'm your favorite ex-investment banker, Jerome, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.